Hi, welcome back to another video, Baseball 9 video. I get asked a lot, how do you recruit players? How do you upgrade them? What abilities to upgrade? So in this video, I will go through step by step exactly what each ability is and what it does, how to upgrade them, as well as which ones that I like to prioritize or which ones that you should consider um, the best that you should focus on. So let's get into this video here. Let's go over to the upgrade tab where we can see all our players. And then if we just scroll over through, this is what it'll look like when you first start out, when you haven't upgraded your player to bronze yet. Your basic players, you can't upgrade them, it'll tell you. But once you do upgrade them to bronze, it'll look something like this. Without the skill, you don't get that until level 10. But you have this player: speed, power, agility, contact, fielding, throwing, batter's eye. 7 attributes. So off the top, maybe you might be able to kind of guess a little. Speed, it'll make your player faster. Power, they're stronger. But what exactly does this have to do with their gameplay? So if you click up here in that question mark attributes tab, it will show you exactly what each attribute does. So if we read here, batter attributes: speed, running speed during fielding and base running. So this is important because it tells you that it affects how fast your player is when they're batting, when they're running around the bases, and when they're fielding, when they're running to chase down a ball. Power, ability to hit the ball far away for extra bases. So this is kind of what you think it is. It lets you hit farther, hit the ball farther. Might make it easier for you to get home runs. But what we learned here is that power doesn't affect how far your player can throw the ball. If we keep on reading, we'll keep that in mind as we go down the list. But the next one, agility. Reflex speed during fielding and base running. So once again, this is when you're fielding, when your player's in a position and they want to go chase down a ball, how fast can they react to go to the ball? It's that initial reaction, and then speed kicks in. And then when running bases, how fast they can, their reflex speed when they decide to start running, or if in a pickle situation when you want them to come back, how fast they can react to that as well. Fourth one, contact, batting accuracy, and the size of the batting cursor. So this is kind of what it sounds like. When you bat, there's that circle in the middle. It'll get bigger as your contact gets bigger, so then you can be more accurate. When you first start out, it's pretty small, so you have to hit it dead on. But a higher contact rating will give you a little bit more leeway when you go to bat. The next one, fielding, likelihood of making errors and fielding coverage. So this just applies to fielding. When you're fielding, just how good you are at fielding. If you drop any, easy pop-ups, or if you can pick up ground balls, things like that are all under the fielding tab. So a higher fielding will have a less chance of making errors. Next one, throwing. Now this one, we talked earlier about power, how it doesn't affect how far you can throw the ball. So this is what the throwing stat is for: throwing speed and distance. So your throwing stat, not your power stat, affects how far you can throw the ball when you're fielding. So for your outfielder, this is important because it will allow them to throw the ball further. Maybe they're able to get it to first base without going through the shortstop. They can do it in one instead of having that middle player. So this could be a lot better in trying to get runners out, or maybe second base. Maybe you can save yourself from getting a double and just cut them off at second. But if your throwing is low, you might not be able to get the ball there fast enough. Last one, batter's eye, ability to get walks and predict the pitch. This is that prediction circle when the pitch comes in as you're batting. Higher batter's eye will make that more accurate. If you have a lower batter's eye, sometimes you see that the ball is nowhere near where you think it'll go, which is really hard when you're trying to bat. So this one's also important for batting. So if we want to review these batter attributes, we see that speed, agility, speed and agility, those two are the only ones that are used when you're both batting and fielding. The rest of them are very specific. So power
only applies to when you're hitting the ball, contact only applies when you're hitting the ball, fielding only when you're fielding, throwing only when you're fielding, and batter's eye only when you're batting.
So this is important to take into account when upgrading your players and building your team. You want to see exactly what stats you want to prioritize if you want to. And the pitcher attributes, there's a lot less. There's only a couple. Control, which is the better pitch control and lower chance of getting away walks. So pitch control, when you go to pitch, you'll see that little circle. It'll make it more accurate. The ball will go where you want it to. And then each individual pitch has its own attributes. So curveball, fastball, sinker, knuckleball, things like that. Improvement of overall ability, such as velocity, power, movement, etc. So on a curveball, for example, higher rating, will have more movement on the ball. Fastballs, you'll be able to throw it faster. So things like that. If you want to throw 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, the control rating is not going to affect it whatsoever. You're going to have to level up that individual skill. So these are things that are important to note because play a role in determining what you want to upgrade. So if you want a really fast fastball, just go for that fastball. Don't worry about control if you want a ridiculous fastball speed. If you want better control or more even mixture of your pitches, then you can spread out your points evenly throughout. It just really depends. And then last thing, each pitcher can have 6 pitch types that we've gone over. You get 1 every time your pitcher levels up in tier for free, or you can buy them individually. So here is all pretty self-explanatory. I've had videos going over the basics of these things. I can go over them more in depth later. If you want, just drop a comment down below. Let me know if you want that. But this video is mainly about the attributes. We went over what each attribute is. Now, if we look at the individual player, here we have a center fielder. So if we go back out to the lineup and just get a overall look at my team, we see generally have left field, center field, right field. So what I do personally is that these players, I have good batter's eye, decent speed, power, decent agility. Fielding, I really don't, even though they're outfielders, I don't really emphasize that too much because they rarely make errors. It's not that big of a deal. You might have 1 or 2 a game, every other game. So it's really not a huge deal breaker. 40, 50s is okay when they're first starting out. But the batting stats are especially important because, as I've said 1,000 times, I like to bat. So I do focus on batting stats. Batter's eye, I like to raise that up to a decent level, maybe 60, 70, so that you can have a lot easier chance when you're batting to hit the ball. And then speed and power as well. I know a lot of you love asking about home runs. Power will make it a lot easier, and speed as well. It'll get you extra bases, and it also helps when fielding. So those are the kind of things: batter's eye, speed, power. I prioritize those first, and then I put a couple points in the other ones. I'd probably rank top 3: batter's eye, power, speed for sure, and then agility, contact, throwing, fielding. Probably in that order, something like that would be good. And then, if just to reiterate once again, in order to upgrade players, you just go to the player, make sure you have attribute points to use. If you don't, you need to level your player up, and then you'll get points, and then you can use them as you wish. And the points, it does cost more the higher you go. So when you're at level 90, it'll probably cost 7 to 8 points, whereas when you're level 43, it just costs 1 point to increase. So that was a really quick rundown of what each attribute does. Quick video. Sorry it went a little bit long, but if you ever need this information, it's in that settings menu. Once again, you can access it from the game as I showed you in this video. So If you do have any other questions about your player's attributes or need help building your team, let me know down in the comments. If you liked the video, found it useful, give it a like, stay subscribed for more tips and gameplay videos, and thanks for watching. Peace!